Easy, when did that issue pop up?
I guess it's been sore the last little while, and he had a cortisone shot today to try to help out. It's groin, lower stomach. Should be fine. It's more trying to be proactive with it, not to have it turn into something more than it is. So he should be fine.
Is there any word on Bugard, the neurologist?
I haven't even talked to him about Bugart. Right now, he's not even in my sights, to be honest with you, as far as how close he is to play. He hasn't been on the ice, hasn't worked out, so it's that's still a ways away.
And was Gabby okay? It seemed like he went off a little bit early.
Yeah, he should be fine. It was Rammer wanted to be more. He did the power play stuff, something we wanted to cover today, and Rammer wanted to be more preventative there, playing tomorrow, so he should be fine.
With DZ, I'm assuming as a young kid, he's a guy that you want to see playing when he's healthy and not sitting. And last night you said, Gilly's in the top 6. Would it be a situation possibly where you get him to Connecticut just to play a few games?
Yeah, for a young guy at that position, that's always an option, especially with the freedom we have as far as moving young players up and down without any ramifications. So we'll see as it goes along. We're going to try to work with him here. I mean, I wish he was on the ice practicing. But Rammer talked to me last night after the game and felt this would be in the long term. It would be good for him to do it right now. So we'll see as it all plays out. But that's always not. We did it with Gilly last year.
Right, yeah.
At this position especially, that isn't a bad thing.
I'm sorry, is there any, with the cortisone shot, any timetable before he can get on the ice?
I don't even know.
Okay.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be long.
Okay.
Because when I asked him, when Rammer asked me last night, I wanted him to practice today, and in my conversation, I think it was just basically today that I think he'd be off.
But he's not in the plans for tomorrow.
No. I'm staying with the same 6 tomorrow.
Did you like some of the things, obviously, today? You looked at the film from Gilroy, how active he was?
Played well, again, had some good reads in the neutral zone, established himself again along the boards in the offensive zone. And again, he played well.
How important is to finish this month strong, get that 8th win, and I'm sure it's one of your goals just to finish this month strong as you go in?
It's not the month, it's each game at a time. Again, we're going to play a Jersey team tomorrow that I'm sure is going to be ready to play in some of the situations they've gone through. They've had some time with Shock now as far as the change there, and we're just going game by game, trying to be the best we can be each game.
Torch, when you talk about Gilroy and making the right reads and on the boards, is that a confidence thing more than anything, or is it a understanding, or?
I think it's both, Joe. I think you can see he's, he tried to beat a couple of people one-on-one with a puck. You can see that there's some confidence there. I think he, in the timeout, I'm sure he has said to himself, this is what I'm going to do when I get back in to try to stay in. So I think it's a little bit of both. Again, when I sat him out, it wasn't that he was too far off the map either at that time. It's just we made the decision on those 6. Now we've gone with this 6.
He just looks now
Yeah,
like he did.
he looks
early
freer.
last year.
Yeah,
right?
he
looks
looks
like a different player.
Yeah, he looks comfortable. So hopefully we can stay consistent with that, and defensively too. He's done some good things defensively. He just really did, the past 2 games, done a really good job pinching along the boards and sustaining our forecheck.
Are you unhappy with Delzato for anything other than mistakes on the ice? Is he not reacted well to whatever you've been trying to get across to him?
No, I think with Michael, it starts with mistakes on the ice, and Larry, the same mistakes. That's what we're trying to make him understand. It's the same mistakes that have reoccurred, and it basically comes down to patience. He needs to be more of a patient player instead of always, and I'll just put it this way, instead of making a 60-foot pass, it could be a 15-foot pass. So that in the whole part of his game, see, I think his defensive game has been more consistent than his offensive game. And I know he's really worked on his defensive part of the game. But it's the same mistakes and trying to do too much at wrong times. And that's what happens at that position. It's a position of looks coming at you and looks getting us out of our end zone, wherever it may be in the neutral zone. And he's been inconsistent with the same plays. So that's what we're trying to get across to him. And that's why he's out. And hopefully when he gets back in with Gilly, because we've showed him tape, we've talked to him about it, and this has gone on for quite a while, that it reaches him and does make those easy plays and lets the game come to him.
Is it as easy as looking in the wrong place instead of looking up that way all the time?
Well, that's a huge part of Michael's game, is that he's always looking over there instead of right there. Okay, let me dump it off to you. You carry the puck and maybe I'll join. Instead of looking that way. And because it's hard. It's hard when you're under pressure and teams coming at you, looking that way, and teams bait you. That's how teams forecheck. They bait you into an area, they want you to put the puck there, and they're going to jump you. This team Jersey is going to do that tomorrow. And so instead of just right there, okay, I'll give it to you. It's not a fancy play. It's not a real dangerous play. It's not a play that if I make that long one, it looks great. But this one here is something that no one will even notice. And that's what we want Michael, we want that brought into his game, is some unnoticeable plays that are good for the team and makes it easier for us to get through the neutral zone or on a breakouts, whatever it may be.
Do you notice anything different with Jersey on the tape under Lemaire?
I haven't even looked at him.
Okay.
I'm still on my tape here from last night, so I haven't even looked at Jersey yet.
For as long as you've been in the league, they have been an elite team.
Yes.
So is there any difference, you have to talk to the team tomorrow about any difference in, mental approach playing them, that they're so far down right now? Do you think you need to discuss that at all? Because they're so different than...
As far as how we ready for them?
Yeah.
We will, because not so much because of Jersey, but because of us. Because I still think we're climbing the hill in understanding being ready at all times. At beginnings of games, in the middle part of the games, no matter who we play, it's us still learning and taking steps. I think we're taking steps in the right direction, but always being ready to play. Because you know as well as I do, you've been around it long enough, that the second half of this year, it's a grind. And no matter who you're playing, it's going to be a tough game. So those are the lessons that we need to, like last night, I thought we started really well. And then they score their goal. It wasn't a great goal, and we ended up being a little spooked, and we backed off. And then they get chance after chance in that little, probably 6-7 minute part of the first period. We got to overcome that. And so those are the steps we're trying to take. And your question there, that's a step.
What I assume you changed your mind
Yes.
about your line combination.
Yes.
So what was the thought as you look at it and say, no, let me do
Yeah,
that instead?
like I told Jesse, I lied to you guys, and I was only joking, but I sat there and I did. I had a number of combinations throughout the day, and I did. I talked with the coaching staff, and I ended up putting these lines up, Larry, at 6:10 before 6:30 pregame skate. And I wanted Zuccarello to play with Gabby. I wanted to see what could happen there, which step on the middle. And I'm in the process of looking at the game right now. I wanted them to play together. If I'm going to have this kid here, I don't want to spread it so thin amongst the four lines. And I want to group some offensive people together and see what happens. And when you put them together, I want to keep the Boyle line together, which I really like. And then I see the other lines, and they're pretty good lines. And so that's what we went with. And again, we ended up developing 52 shots. I'm not sure, and I'm breaking it down now, how the lines exactly played. I want to look at it more closely. But, he played good. He made some good little plays that, He had Drew in front of the net there in the first. Drew wasn't even ready for the pass because a lot of people don't make that pass, and he got it there. So,
As you move in, basically, at least, right now,
Mhm.
I'm not talking about long, I'm saying, right now, you've got Zuccarello in basically for calendar.
yes. I
They're
don't know.
really different kind of guys.
Yeah.
So, does it change the dynamics when you put in a more talented guy when he's filling in for a guy who plays his way?
Yeah, I don't want it to change our mindset as a team, as far as how hard we have to play, and a big part of our identity right now underneath the hash marks. But I think we have to. I think it's incumbent on us as an organization to try to continue to get better with more skill. And that's not to run down anybody, but I think our team has learned how to grind, has been very good in scoring goals that way. I think we need to continue to try to better our team with skill without losing our identity. Does that answer it? You don't want to sit here and you build on an identity and just keep on, I'm not going to play him. He's got some talent. Will he forecheck? Will he bang? You can't do it that way. You got to add some of these pieces along the way. But they also, as they come in, you also have to have them meet the team halfway in the identity that we're building here. To when it's time to dump it in, you got to grind to go get it too. So,
Do you think in general, as a coach, that it's better to play to your strengths, improve your strengths, be as strong as you can possibly be where you're strong, or do you want to patch weaknesses?
it depends what you think is a weakness. No, go further with it. It's an interesting conversation.
Well, I'm not, actually, I don't know that.
You're just looking at philosophy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think from a coaching point of view, I think a big part of coaching is understanding what your team is that you're coaching now and try to play to their strengths or try to work to that part. Now, because you just don't change your team. You can't change your team next week.
Right.
So this is our team, and I think we've done a pretty good job. I think the players have really done a good job of that. Having said that, you're still going to try to get better, and but that doesn't happen overnight. That may not happen for another year or 2 years. So it's a hard question to answer.
Well,
I know what you're getting to.
And it's kind of also a management thing where
Yes.
New Jersey, when they were going, like I think the year they beat you in 03, whatever, people thought they were going to add
Who me and you
forwards.
had, yeah.
No.
Yep.
No, that was in 06.
That was 06.
Oh, 6,
That's
yes.
when
Was
you
that-
lost them in the second round.
Yes.
No, you know what? And when people say, well, they need to add more scoring, and instead they go out and they get two, Dick Schmelik. Because their strength was D,
Yeah.
and they wanted to make sure they had 8.
Yeah.
Rather
Yeah.
than try and patch
Yeah.
a better third line player. So
It's I'd say it's an organizational philosophy, and it can't come from me.
Right.
I'm hoping that I'm hoping on any team a coach is involved in that, because I think when I'll just leave that alone. I think it needs to be an organizational philosophy, and so it's an interesting conversation. It's hard to give you an exact, but I'm telling you, my philosophy as a coach, a big part of coaching, is to. This is your team. You quit, whether you like it or not. And I really like this team. I said that all year long. But if I didn't like it, you still have to try to find a way to win. And you got to look at your club and see who's there and what is the best way to try to win with that group. But I think as an organization, you're always trying to get better. And skill development and adding skilled people helps a team get better also. But you don't want to lose sight of who you are. And that's a tricky thing as you go through it.
How does that work with a young team where you have, guys, like you said, skill development, and their talents are evolving, and you're seeing different players do things that maybe you didn't expect them to do before?
Well, and this is what I like about to me, this Zuccarello, I think he's played 2 good games, and he's a kid. And he's a kid with some talent. And so and this goes back to Larry's question, why I changed. I want to give him every opportunity in this situation right now to see what he can do. We still have to make a decision on him. I'm not sure what happens here. I still don't know. but it's a young kid, and this, this hurts Todd White. And I've talked to Whitey about this. He's a 35-year-old guy. I get Weiss, who played a pretty good game if we need a grinder. Zuccarello's a different type player. The kids are going to get a chance. They're going to play. And we have to live with some of their mistakes. For older guys, and where we are as an organization right now, it hurts them to get because I'm gonna err on with youth, and that's why I think we'll still go through some times here where we struggle, but I think it's incumbent that the organization continues to build from within as far as the youth, and so it hurts the older guys as we go through that.
Without finishing watching the tape, do you have a gut feeling as to whether Zuccarello was better on the left side or the right side?
I've just watched one period, but I watched him during the game, and I asked him 3 times during the game how he felt. He felt great. He felt really good on the left side. I need to watch more, Joe. I think as a left-hand shot on the right side, I think inevitably you see the ice better because you're opened up to it. You're not so closed off. I'm hoping, maybe if he plays with Gabby again, they don't have to stay on their sides. I'd rather see him being creative where they don't always have to be up and down their wing. I know Gabby isn't going to be, and I think Zook, as he feels more comfortable, maybe he ends up on the right side. I think you sometimes get locked in on that position, but within the game, we want it to be free-flowing as far as creativity, especially with those guys. Now, if it's a different type player, we want them up and down the wing. Yeah. If it's a different type player, but I want Zook to experience it, to let himself go. I corrected him last night one time where I got to correct him in situations where he makes a backhand pass to a defenseman, a saucer pass, ends up being a turnover. I forget what the score was. And I told him, because I want to be careful, I said, I don't want to take your stick away, but just understand, I think it was a 2-goal lead at that time. I forget. But I'm going to show it on the tape. I gotta get the clip. Sometimes, you got to make a simpler play. But I also want him to be able to make plays, too. I don't want to turn him into a guy that's just going to be dumping the puck in, because that's just not his game.
Did you notice anything different than in the defensive zone, which is, I guess, what you're saying is that's the biggest...
I think, yeah, and that's the biggest thing as far as positioning for left wing, right wing. I think he understands, and I did. I checked with him throughout the game, and I watched him. I think he has an understanding, and I like the questions that he's asking early on here. So it's evolving. I'm not sure what his best position is going to be, Joe. No. I'm not sure. But I'm not sure where it's going to all end up. I don't know.
When you got 2 guys like Gabby and Zook, if they're playing together and they're all over the place, do you need a center with a unique skill set to be able to keep it all?
Yeah, and Step can do that.
Yeah.
Step can do that. Yeah, again, it's not going to be the Red Army team where we're countering back like Detroit used to do a number of years ago. We're not doing that. I'll tell you that right now. I'm just talking that guys don't have to coming across the ice. It doesn't always have to be locked in on your side. Step can handle that right now. And again, I'm not exactly sure how it all works out if they can play together. I can't judge it in 3 periods. I can't. It wouldn't be fair to anybody. But I wanted to see it. I want to see it because I don't want to bring him up where he's come along in the American League, and I felt like I was just spreading things a little bit too thin there too, as far as trying to get people in different spots with those other lines. So we tried it.
He said that the biggest difference between the American League and here was on the forecheck. Is that something that you see with him?
He can get there. Yeah, I think where he's still in between is our neutral zone forecheck, as far as when we're aggressive, because we kind of have a hybrid, as far as we have no chance, we've got to hold ourselves off a bit here and look for turnovers in the neutral zone and not try to push it inside their blue line. I know he's had a number of questions there, like on the goal, on Schremp's goal. We didn't have our second guy in the middle. That's why, is that how you pronounce Schremp? That's why it's so much ice, because the play came right behind him. I think Schremp got the puck right off his back where he's forechecking the 2D. It really wasn't his responsibility to have Schremp. We lost our second guy.
Gabby was locking the right side. Step should have been in the middle to attack Shrimp, and he couldn't have walked in our end zone. It wasn't a good goal anyway, but we should have stopped him in the neutral zone. He had a question there. That's where I think it's going to take some time to understand. But as far as deep forechecking, it's not a complicated system at all. It's a pressure, and I watch him. He's a pretty smart player. He's a pretty smart player, and he'll make mistakes, but we'll work through it with him.
Good.